Oh, sugar. 1 second. I can't trust Roy. He is usually naked. 1 second. Flipping wrong filter. There we go. All right. Let's try that again. Roy.
Yes.
There
What's
you are.
happening? How's Howard? How's Howard? Is he all right?
I don't know about Howard.
Was you not on the phone to Howard a bit ago? Or was you talking about Howard?
Oh, I was talking. Yeah, he was a guy I played basketball with.
Okay. You play basketball?
Yeah, I'm 77 years old and I still play basketball.
I was going to say, shut the front door. You ain't playing basketball, mate. Would you play walking basketball?
No, we play hard. Trust me. You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe how we play.
No, I don't. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
How
old's Howard? How old's Howard?
Well, Howard's a youngster. He's only 55. But we have one guy that's 81 and I'm 77. We've got 3 more guys, 75. It's
How old is
it's pretty
Howard?
impressive. We still play.
He said after Howard's 55, he said.
Yeah, he's a youngster. We call him a youngster.
Anyway,
Okay,
Roy,
well,
how you doing, mate? What brings you here?
Hamza, what I want to talk about is a word. I think you probably know what this means. It's called adiaphora. Adiaphora. Do you know what that word means?
No.
Okay. It means that you.
Roy, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
In what world do you think that I would understand that word?
Well, if you've studied the Bible, you would know what adiaphora means. If you studied the Bible, I know you're.
What language
not
is
a
that?
Christian.
What language is it? What language is that?
I don't know. I don't know what adiaphora is. Probably Greek.
So am I supposed to know some random word? You don't even know what language it is. What am I, some kind of know all languages of the world?
Nobody
Anyway,
knows.
Carry on.
Okay.
Adiaphora.
Adiaphora
Guru
just
Bravo.
means.
Go on, carry on.
Adiaphora just simply means that you don't major on the minors. It's minor things that don't really mean anything. Okay, it's the minor stuff. Okay, it's not theological. It's not like I'm a Christian, so I say Jesus is God. Okay, I look at a verse where Jesus says, "I and the Father are one," and you look at another verse where Jesus says, "The Father is greater than I." So adiaphora is saying that, look, we don't major on the minors. We just look at what's out there. That's what adiaphora is talking about.
All right.
And here's what I want to.
Just wait a second, Roy. Can I just ask you something? Sorry, quickly. I have this claim I make about Christians that you're incapable of reading ambiguous verses. So you're incapable of reading ambiguous verses ambiguous. You always make them explicit. So let me just test that theory if you don't mind. I always like to do this. So you mentioned a verse in the Bible where Jesus says, "I and the Father are one." Yes.
Yeah.
What could Jesus have been saying in that statement?
Well, I think he's God because I believe in the triunity, but that's
No,
not what I
forget
want to
that.
talk about.
No, but Roy, just humor me. What could
Hamza,
Jesus...
let me talk about what I called in about.
Yeah,
okay?
you can do. I just want to understand. So when Jesus says, "I and the Father are one," what could he have been saying?
He was saying that he and the Father are one in essence. They're not the same person.
What could
The
he have
Father
been
is not
saying?
the Son is not the Father, and the Son is not the Holy Spirit.
Right.
The Holy Spirit.
I'm not asking you. Listen to the question, please. I'm not asking you what you think he is saying. I'm saying, what could he have been saying? What are the possibilities? What could he have been saying?
Hamza, that's not what I called in about.
I understand that, but I just want to demonstrate my point. That's all. That you Christians
your
can't be.
says,
No. You've demonstrated it for me that you Christians can't be trusted to read your own Bible. But anyway, carry on with your question.
Okay, I want to give you something that you probably never heard in your life before. Okay, it's what's called adiaphora. It's minor. Don't laugh. Don't laugh at me. I'm not laughing at you. Okay?
I have to laugh, dude.
I take this seriously. Okay. Here's what I want to tell you. This is minor stuff. So if you can believe the minor stuff, if you can see where the minor stuff in the New Testament is true, Why not believe in the major things? Okay. And here's what I want to stress. Okay. I want you to check this out. Are you familiar with the feeding of the 5,000 and the feeding of the 4,000 in the New Testament?
Yeah.
Do you believe that these events actually happened?
They may well have.
Okay. There's a difference in these feedings. In one instance where Jesus fed 5,000 people with just a 5 loaves of bread and some small fishes, it talks about the baskets that they picked up. Okay. Minor stuff. Okay. Minor stuff. The baskets they picked up. So in the feeding of the 5,000, it's mentioned in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and everyone say that the word for baskets is spirios in Greek. Okay, spirios in Greek.
And how many baskets were there, sir?
There were 12 small baskets.
And how many disciples? How many disciples does he have?
He had 12 disciples.
Okay, just making sure. Go ahead.
Here's the point I'm trying to make. In the feeding of 4,000, they picked up 7 large baskets. Okay, that's a different Greek word than what was used in the feeding of the 5. This is a basket where a man could actually stand up. It's used in Acts 9:25, where Paul is said to have been lifted over the wall in Damascus in a large basket. The same basket that the feeding of the 4,000, when they picked up the 7 large baskets, were. Those are 2 different Greek words. What I want to say to you is something so minor. If this was not something truthful, why would they use 2 different Greek words to tell you in the feeding of the 5,000, they picked up 12 small baskets, and in the feeding of the 4,000,
why are you presenting? One second. Why are you presenting an argument that I'm saying the feeding of the 5,000 didn't occur?
I'm just saying to you that the New Testament is so infinitesimally correct in what it says. These Greek words make a difference. Why would someone, if they wanted to make up a story, why wouldn't they just say a basket of 5,000, we picked up 12, 4,000, we picked up 7. They use different Greek words. And Jesus also said in Matthew 16:9-10, please check it out. Jesus records both. He said, you know, when I fed the 5,000, you picked up the 12 small baskets, and didn't you realize when I fed the 4,000, I picked up 7 large? He uses the same different Greek words for baskets. So I'm trying to tell you.
What is the point? What is the point you're making? What is the point you think you're making?
The point I'm making is the New Testament is so.
No, that's not the point you're making. That's not the point you're making.
No,
you're doing the composite fallacy. What's it called? Composite fallacy.
You're
composition fallacy.
Yeah. You're committing the composition fallacy, thinking because you find something that may be true, it makes the whole true, which it doesn't. It just makes maybe that particular story true, but it doesn't make everything true. It doesn't validate the whole book.
Why don't some of y'all get on your tablet right now and look up what I've just told you?
No, we're not arguing. Look, Roy, don't you understand? Even if we concede, which it's no issue for us to believe that Jesus did miracles and that he did feed 5,000 people and 4,000 people, and he used different sized baskets when he did so, and what actually occurred was actually recorded accurately in that particular portion of the New Testament. That doesn't make everything in the New Testament reliable.
Well, okay, I'm saying if something's so small, so infinitesimally small, why can't you believe what is large, where Jesus himself says, before Abraham was, ego I me.
What?
I am God. That's what he said.
It doesn't say. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. It does. What does Jesus say? What does he say? Tell me what he says.
He says, I am. He says, before Abraham was, ego I me. I am.
Right. Stop. Who? 1 second. Who is I am?
It's God. It's
Okay,
Yahweh.
okay. So let's change the word to Yahweh. Yeah? Yeah? So say the sentence again, using the word Yahweh instead of I am.
Exodus 3:15.
No. Say that sentence again, replacing I am with Yahweh. Okay?
Before
So have Jesus said,
Abraham was, I am Yahweh.
No, you can't. You've translated I am to Yahweh.
Yes, you can, my friend.
No,
Look at the
Roy.
Septuagint. Hey,
Roy.
look up the Septuagint
No,
right now.
Roy, you're misunderstanding, mate. Let me explain. If you turn I am into Yahweh, there's no longer I am in that sentence because it's Yahweh now. So it says, before Abraham was Yahweh. There is no I am anymore because we've changed it into Yahweh. Therefore, Jesus saying before Abraham was Yahweh was basically saying, well, God would know. Standard.
That makes no sense, Hamza. That makes no sense what you just said.
How did that not make any sense? How did that not make any sense?
Look it up in the Septuagint, which came 2,000 or 200 years before Christ. The same thing, the same word, ego I me.
No one's arguing. No one's arguing about that. I mean, I think Mustafa will argue, but I'm not. But
no,
I'm
you
not
said
arguing.
it right the first time.
I'm saying, Roy. I'm giving it to you. Yes, this ego I me means Yahweh. No problem. Go to Exodus or whatever. No problem. So basically, when Jesus is asked, "How do you know these things?" Because Abraham was before your time. What does he say? Before Abraham was Yahweh. There's no I am because it's already been translated. He doesn't say, if he said this, you would have a point, right? If he says, before Abraham, I am, and you have two I ams, then he can say, before Abraham, I am Yahweh, or before Abraham, Yahweh, I am. But he doesn't say that. It just says, before Abraham was Yahweh, according to what you're saying, which is all, and this confirms what Jesus said many times when he says, I and the Father are one. He's basically a messenger of God. This is what he meant when he says that they knew you, the Father, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. We're confirming that Jesus is just a messenger of God. We know this for when Peter speaks in the book of Acts, when he says, you know him as a man accredited by God, miracles done through by him through, was it miracles done through him by God? Something along those lines.
Yeah, a man appointed by God.
By God, accredited with miracles, yeah. So if you read all these things, and then you come back to this, before Abraham was I am, you'll understand it's just a further confirmation that Jesus is telling these people, Yahweh sent me. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less.
Hamza, since you brought up the book of Acts, go to Acts 4:12. Read that for us, okay?
Hey, before we move on from Roy, before we move on from that, you do understand that Jesus was not.
Let's not go before. Let's get this settled first. But read Acts
Roy,
4:12.
Wait. We'll get to Roy. We'll go there. We'll go there in a second. It's okay. It's okay.
No,
but you do understand.
I want you to read Acts 4:12 for the people.
We will, Roy. We will. But you do understand.
Do it now. Do it now so people can hear it.
So, Roy, I will in a second, but I just want to make sure you understand
you just qualified that Acts is true because you quoted from.
Carry on, Jay.
Thank you, Hamza. Roy, I want to just make sure that you understand that Jesus is not saying that he's God by saying before Abraham was God. Okay, he's still yelling at the screen. One interesting thing I do want to point out about this is that he used the name of God that God gave to Moses in Exodus chapter 3, verse 14. Now, Moses, when he was talking to God, he was asking him for help. He was like, I can't get these Jews to listen to me. Could you please just give me your name or a sign or something?
This is nonsense. Nonsense. Read Acts 4:12 for your people to hear.
Roy, listen real quick. I'll read it in a second.
Roy, look, you just quoted Acts 2, so you must believe it's true. Read Acts 4:12. Is that not true?
So can I just expound on that particular point, please? So
Please expound on Acts 4:12.
Okay, so well, let's satisfy our elderly friend here so that he feels happy with that. So in Acts chapter 4, verse 12, it says, "Salvation is found in no one else, for there is no other name under heaven given to mankind by which we must be saved." So what the author of Acts is saying is incumbent upon those who have come at the time of Christ to follow him, and therefore it's in his name that and mankind will be saved. But we do notice in the Gospels, in Matthew's account particularly, where Jesus specifies that go not to the for I have only come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Go not to the Gentiles. So his mission was singularly for the Jews. He didn't come for all of mankind. Hence he says, "Go not to the Gentiles, for I have only come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel." So the reference that you've given in Acts chapter 4, verse 12, is at that time it was incumbent upon those to whom Christ was sent that they would have to follow him to get the salvation. So under the heavens and in the heavens, and in terms of the mankind by which we must be saved, all that's saying is you had to follow Jesus in order to get that salvation at that particular time. So it's not universal for all time, you see. And how do we come to that conclusion? Because in Matthew chapter 10, Jesus clearly states, "For I have only come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel." Does that make sense, Roy?
Yes, it makes sense, but you know what? That was after Acts 4:12. Jesus did come for the house of Israel, but he came for the whole world. Look at John 3:16. I mean, how much plainer could that be? He came for the whole world. You have to believe in Jesus Christ to get to the Father. You would call him Allah.
Did Jesus say he came for the whole world?
Yes.
Where does Jesus say that?
And John 3:16.
That's not Jesus speaking.
How do you? I got it in red letters in my Bible. What do you got in yours?
You believe that's Jesus speaking? That's the narrator. If you read the, all right. So if you watch I think there's a movie called The Gospel of John. Yeah. And when there's the part where Jesus is talking to Nicodemus, and then it comes to that part where he says, "For God just so loved the world." It isn't Jesus speaking; it's the narrator. So these are not,
that's how the NIV has it. It's
yeah. It's not in red letter in an NIV Bible. It's not a speech. It's not a speech of Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
It's the author's. It's the author's words, not Jesus's words.
Plus, when you look at the Greek term, which is monogenes, it simply means a unique son, born of a unique disposition. So Christ was born without the conduit of a father. So in that respect, he would be referred to as a unique son. But we know there are many begotten sons of God in the Bible. If you look at the Old Testament, Psalm chapter 2, verse 7, David is also referred to as a begotten son of God. So by definition, it simply means one who is an inheritor of the future kingdom of God. So in that sense, Jesus is referred to as a unique son. When he comes in his second coming, and he will have powers and dominions and rulership of the earth, it's in that context he's referred to as unique. So God will give the world, Jesus to the world in his second coming. It's in that. Does that make sense, Roy?
No, I want to tell you why it doesn't. Because starting in John, chapter 3, verse 10, Jesus answered and said unto him, and the next 14 verses, which include John 3:16, he says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son."
That's not.
You can
That's
say
not
what
John.
you want to. You sound
That's
like
not John.
That's John 3:16, my friend. You
It's
can
not.
either believe it.
It's not.
Hey, look.
Roy, relax, Roy. Roy, let me ask you a question.
Let Jay come in. Sorry, guys, just let Jay come in for a second. Roy, just hold your horses, please, for a second. Go ahead, Jay.
Roy, can God sin?
No.
Okay, excellent. Do you believe Jesus is God?
Absolutely.
You do? Okay, great. In the Ten Commandments, is one of them, the fifth one, that thou shalt honor thy mother and thy father?
Absolutely.
Excellent. In John chapter 2, verse 4, when they were at the wedding, Jesus' mother came to him and said, "They have no wine." In verse 4, Jesus responds and says, "Woman, what have I to do with you? My time has not yet come." Now, you're an older, reasonable gentleman. Do you believe calling your mother woman is respectful?
You know, that's such a weak. I don't know how to describe that.
Sir.
That's got nothing to do with anything.
Well, it does. It has a lot to
Jesus
do with
was
it.
telling his mother that she didn't absolutely understand, and he knew what he was here for. He didn't know it when he was at the temple, when he was 12 years old, when he was left by his parents at the temple. But now he knew. Mary didn't maybe get it, but that's not. Is that the best you've got to offer?
Roy,
Jesus
it's
is
not
God?
It's not necessarily that he just called her woman, but immediately afterwards he said, "What have I to do with you?" Now it's my understanding that hold on, Roy, a mother has everything to do with her child. This is not only disrespectful, it's disgusting. Now, we in Islam, we don't believe that Jesus said things like this to his mother. We don't believe this is true at all. We believe that Jesus was respectful and that Mary was chosen by God and blessed above all other women. But here in your text, that you claim Jesus, to say that Jesus is God, clearly has Jesus dishonoring his mother, which is against the 10 Commandments. Now, how could Jesus be a sacrifice without blemish or God if he sins in your Bible?
That is so weak. It's not even possible.
Roy, can you address the contention?
No, I can't address it because it's so ridiculous to say that because Jesus said that at this wedding that somehow he disrespected his mother. No.
Are you saying it's not disrespectful to call your mother a woman? What have I to do with you?
No, it wouldn't be disrespectful. I mean, I think I probably called my mother a woman at one time or more. She's been dead for 40 years, but what a weak argument. Is that all you've got to offer?
You don't think that's disrespectful? Hamza Habibi, if you called your mother woman, what have I to do with you? What would you do?
Yes, subhanAllah.
SubhanAllah.
Let me ask you all this. Go through any of the Gospels, especially John, and see how many times Jesus says, "I am this, I am that, I'm the door, I'm the gate, I'm the way."
Roy, why only in John 4? Why do we see all these repetitive "I am" statements only in John's Gospel? I am the way, the truth, and the life.
They're not just in John's Gospel.
So, Roy, just let me make my point, please. You've just said that repetitively Jesus refers to himself with the "I am" self-identifier, the self-male pronoun. So why do you think it's only in John where he says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life," or "The Father and I are one. He that has seen me has seen the Father. Before Abraham was, I am." Why do you feel these self-appraising verses you only find in John's Gospel and not in the earlier accounts of Mark, Matthew, and Luke? Why do you feel that's the case? I'll give you the answer for that. But why do you feel these self-elevatory statements are only found in John's Gospel?
Well, I'll say this. They're not just found in John's Gospel, and I can't give you chapter and verse of Matthew, Mark, and Luke right now, but I'm telling you this. All four Gospels, all four of them, talk about the death, resurrection, and crucifixion of Jesus Christ. All four of them. They tell a different story. One of them might have left out an angel, and one of them might have put an angel here. One of them
Whoa, Roy. I thought you said he gets the small details correct. I thought you said the small details matter. Now you're demonstrating how it doesn't have the small details correct, and now it's not a problem.
You know, when you generalize them, I think I've told you this, Hamza. I used to be a police officer, and when I would be given a accident to go to, the first thing I would do was separate the witnesses, because if you
here's your problem, Roy.
Hamza, let me finish.
No, I'm not.
Finish.
Oh, go on.
Let me finish.
All right, go on.
Let me finish.
One second, go on. Keep going.
Okay, you separate the witnesses because if you don't, they conclude with each other. when you separate them, you get different versions, but you get the same story. It's just like I've told you, I think before. If someone rear ends somebody and you go to an accident and you say, well, who is at fault? Someone might say, well, the person in the second car rear-ended the first car. Somebody else might say the person in the second car was following too close. But they mean the same thing, even though there's different words used. Don't you get that? You don't have to have the exact same
One second,
word.
one second. So just so I understand, you used to be a police officer. Okay. And when you came to the scene of a crime, you would separate the witnesses because they would all look from different perspectives. Some looking from the front, back, some on that side of the road, some probably maybe in a car behind. Okay, I get that. Were the gospel writers eyewitnesses?
John was the only eyewitness of the gospel as far
Right,
as
right.
gospels were.
So
Okay?
so the other writers were not eyewitnesses.
No, they didn't see the actual crucifixion.
So what are you on about splitting the eyewitnesses? Apparently you've only got one.
Well, why? Whether you have one or whether you have 1,001, John.
But you just said, but you just said the Bible's reliable because it gets the small details correct, where you've now just demonstrated that it doesn't.
No, Hamza, that's where you're mistaken, because every time something is repeated in the Bible, it doesn't have to be verbatim. It can be a generalization.
Okay.
Somebody might leave something out. Some other gospel writer might add something.
Right. So you're saying the small details don't matter now?
I'm saying the small details can matter, but it doesn't have to matter. It could be a generalization. They all agree, and you'll have to accept this, whether you like it or not.
But Roy, can you not see?
One second, Chef. Roy, are you drinking?
I'm drinking iced tea, okay?
Is it iced tea? Sure. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
I drink tea.
What time is it where you are, Roy?
It's
6 o'clock, isn't it? 7.
It's 6:38. It's 6:38.
All right, carry on, Sharif, go on.
No, I was just going to say, Roy, you're changing your argument. Your argument initially was very clearly that because the Bible or the New Testament is so precise on the minor details that therefore it gives you confidence to trust it when it says stuff on the major details, like the supposed divinity of Jesus. Now, what you then went on to say before Hamza pointed this point out, you started saying, look, they might have got the difference between the number of angels. Some might have said this number. Some might have said that number. Now, if I take your analogy of the guy who rear-ended another person's car, was one of the eyewitnesses behind a pillar, and so he didn't see all of the angels? Is that what you're trying to say? Or you're just simply saying that they got the basics, they've got the minor details wrong. No, and therefore, if they've got the minor details wrong, by greater reason, I'm thinking, hold on, what about the major details?
Sharif, none of these writers were at the tomb with the women.
I know, agreed, I agree.
None of them were there. You have no the only eyewitnesses you have is the women. We don't have their word.
And one of the
John. Hamza, you had John.
John didn't go. John, one second. Did John go with the women to the tomb? In John.
John didn't go with the women, but he did go to the tomb.
One second. So we're talking about the angels and how many number of angels and was the stone rolled back or not. So right now we have no eyewitnesses of that apart from the women. Is that correct?
Hamza, anytime you have two angels, you at least have one. Maybe
No. Just understand the basics. So you have no eyewitnesses to what happened at the tomb. Is that true?
Yeah, you do have eyewitnesses. You have
but the writers. John wasn't an eyewitness to what happened at the tomb.
Yes, he was.
No, he wasn't.
He looked in. John looked
in. That was after. We're talking about the women going to the tomb. We're talking about the women going to the tomb. None of the authors of the Gospels were with those women going to the tomb. Agreed?
Hamza, it could have been 30 minutes later that John and Peter showed up.
1 second. Let's understand something. When the women went to the tomb the next day, after 3 days, whatever it was, John wasn't with them. Mark wasn't with him. Matthew or Luke. There was no authors of Gospels with them. Agreed?
Only John and Peter
No.
saw.
1 second.
No. Look,
All right,
everything
I'm going to
has been
do it this way. So,
chronological order.
sorry, forgive me, dude. I'm going to mute you. All right. So we know from all the gospel accounts, only the women went to the tomb. There was no authors of no disciples or no nothing. So what occurred at the tomb, whether there was an earthquake, whether there was a stone was there and then it rolled back, or it was already rolled back, or there was two angels, or one angel was inside or one wasn't. This is just the testimony of the women. Okay, we don't know which of these women, because even the number of women, even the idea of who went to the tomb is not certain. One woman, two women, which Mary, whatever. We don't even know who the women were. So we can't even say which women went to the tomb, first thing, or how many there were. Second thing, we have no eyewitness accounts as to what occurred at the tomb. And we see so many discrepancies between the accounts. Okay. And so we know John and Peter raced to the tomb later when Mary went to them and said, he's risen, and they raced to the tomb. But that doesn't even help you, because when they race to the tomb, Peter and John, and they go in and they see his thing folded nicely up and he's not there. Yeah. They just went home. Like they weren't even expecting this thing. But apparently this had been prophesied. Their master told them he would rise after 3 days. This was the sign he was going to give the adulterous generation. And yet they didn't know. I mean, it doesn't help your case that John and Peter actually went to the tomb and seen he was risen and didn't even say, "Oh, hallelujah, he's risen." They acted so indifferent that they weren't expecting this, and they actually went home. But going back to the original point, you made a point that when look at the small deals, the basket, it's a big basket and there's a small basket, and you see if he gets these details right, then why do you dismiss the great details? And then we have more details that are not right. The number of angels, was there an earthquake? Were there zombies?
Zombies, I was going to say that.
Subhanallah. Do you believe the zombies happened? The Walking Dead and all that? Oh, sorry, let me unmute you. Sorry, Roy. Right, go on.
I believe when the people came out of the tombs, that was a prediction, or maybe I could use a better word, of what the rapture will be like when Christ comes back.
Were they Walking Dead?
Yes, no, they weren't Walking Dead. They had been actively alive, just like people will be that are dead right now, like my son who died 2.5 years ago from a opioid death, which I'm still mourning. He died. I'll see him again on Resurrection Day. I won't see him again walk through my front door, but his body will be resurrected as mine will be. I'll be given a new body. That's what Christians believe. That's what I believe.
That doesn't make it true.
No, it doesn't make it true, but it makes it coincide with what the Bible, what the New Testament teaches. You don't believe what the New Testament says.
No. We've just established.
Right. Can just on the police issue, yeah? Because this point about the resurrection of these people from the graves, that's mentioned. Is it Hamza? Is it in Matthew? Is it?
Only in Matthew, yes.
Yeah, it's only in Matthew, right? Now, if you were to go to a scene and you had all these witnesses and all these people, like 5 or 6 or 7 people, they witnessed an event, and you separated them, so you didn't want them to collaborate with each other, and you go to each one of these witnesses and each one makes a point, yeah, and then one of them says, yeah, and I saw this guy murder this person in the middle of the road, and none of the other witnesses see that. Would you be like, hold on, is this guy reliable? Is he trustworthy? We've got all these witnesses who saw this thing, have mentioned this thing. This person's adding this, not just a small detail, this massive detail. Would you now be a bit, as a police officer who's investigating, would you be like, hold on, this seems a bit strange. This witness seems a bit odd. Something strange is going on here. Or you'd be like, yeah, it's fine.
And just to elaborate on that point that Sharif has made, Roy, is the similar narrative you can give in regards to the spearing in the side in the crucifixion event. When in John's Gospel, when the spear is gushed forth into the side of Christ and the blood comes out as the water does, well, it begs the question: why is it not narrated in the earlier Gospel? So, in the analogy that Sharif gave, you being an ex-police officer, just imagine you took 4 witness statements as to an event that occurs, potentially, just say, God forbid, a murder. In which 4 police officers are asking for statements of the eyewitnesses. And the earlier the initial people that you ask, they make mention in the event of you seeing a murder that you saw somebody kick one person, but he doesn't add the fatal instrument used to kill the individual. And if the first three statements don't mention, for example, a knife being inserted into someone, then you would think to yourself, well, what actually kills the individual? It wouldn't just be a kick, as an example. But then all of a sudden, you've got a fourth latter account, which then tells you, in addition to a kick, I saw a knife being inserted into an individual, which would have then clarified his death. So the point being is that we can see some sort of embellishments which have been taking place within the gospel narrative, you see. So it's not likely that earlier accounts would not mention that which is mentioned in latter accounts. Are you following what I'm saying? It's just to substantiate on the point that Sharif made.
Well, I'll agree that John mentioned it where the others didn't, but that doesn't make it not true. Just because something is not mentioned doesn't mean it isn't true.
Right.
I mean, you got a lot of testimony in court, in any court, which I was in many courts as a police officer. A lot of stuff doesn't get mentioned. It should have.
That's exactly what I wanted to say, Roy. I wanted to ram the knife home that Mustafa's talking about. Yeah. So you're a police officer and you turn up at the scene of a crime and you say, have any witnesses? And this woman goes, yeah. And you go, okay, well, I didn't see it, but somebody told me what happened. Would that be admissible?
Hearsay.
Well,
One second. Would that be admissible?
and what was your question again?
Okay, you turn up as a police officer at a crime scene and you see a woman and you ask the woman, were you a witness? She goes, no, I wasn't, but there was a guy here that was. And actually, let's rephrase it. You turn up, there's a guy who says, was you a witness? And he goes, well, I wasn't a witness, but there was a woman, she was here and she told me what happened. Would that be admissible in court?
No, you would say to the woman, who is this person? And you would get their eyewitness testimony.
But you haven't got their eyewitness testimony. Now what?
Well,
Would
she
you believe
said that. No, she said this person saw it, right?
No, the guy says this woman told him that what she saw.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You would have to go back to him. He's
No.
the one that saw it.
No, listen. The guy is the witness. Sorry, I changed it. The guy is a witness.
Oh, you totally screwed up to what you're talking about.
No, I just reversed it.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I know. I know. I'm talking about because I just reversed it for correlation.
No, you don't, Hamza.
I'll explain why I did. I'll explain why I reversed it, Roy. Because it was women at the tomb, yeah, and it was the men who reported what occurred. So I'm put in the same scenario. So you arrive at a crime scene. There's a guy there, and you say, "Did you see what happened?" He goes, "Well, no, I didn't see what happened, but there was a woman who told me what happened, and here's what she said." Would her testimony be admissible?
Her testimony would be, but not his, because he wasn't.
No, her testimony is no, but her testimony is only what he's saying her testimony was. You don't have her; she's not there. You only have him, and he's telling you what she said.
Man, you are going around in circles, man. You don't even make any sense.
Bro,
Look,
I'm going like a straight arrow, mate. We're talking about round in circles.
You got 4 gospels.
Roy, can you just answer my question as an ex-police officer? I want to know how well you did your job, sir.
James,
Roy,
Jude.
Roy, you're an ex-police. Was you fired as a policeman? Was you fired, or did you retire?
No, I was a policeman for 3.5 years, and I resigned because I couldn't make enough money to feed my family and 3 children back.
Or you was very, very bad at your job. One of the two.
No, I was very good. I had many.
No, you're terrible. If this is your skills, unless you've lost those skills, you're terrible. You turn up at a crime scene and a guy's telling you what occurred based upon what a woman told him. Yeah, you know that's not admissible. Yeah. So I'm not surprised you was only a copper for 3 years, mate, because your bosses wouldn't have took that nonsense. Roy, it's been real.
Let me
have a lovely evening. It's time to say goodbye. Take care, Roy.
Hamza, hold on a minute.
We've got other people to speak to. The world doesn't revolve around you, Roy. Enjoy your evening.
Don't cut me off yet. Just let me explain who I am, okay? Don't cut me off.
No, I don't want to.
We've got other guests to attend to.
We've got other guests to. I'm sick of hearing you now. Take care.